Hey yo, what's up everybody? Today we're diving into Arknights Farmville. My bad, Enfield. But I gotta say, there's a lot of similarities between these games, and not just Farmville, but really any type of base builder game. And I gotta say, man, I rocks with it. It's actually really fun. But if you'd asked me my opinion when I first started, you would have gotten a very different answer. And today I want to talk to you about why I think that is. Before I get too deep in any of the criticisms, first, I want to just tell you why I enjoy the game, and then we'll get into more of breaking down the flaws that this game has, especially in terms of what it kind of presents itself as when you first see it and first start to experience it. With that being said, without further ado, let's get it. Arknights Endfield stylistically looks like a lot of other games out right now. Of course, there are some notable differences, but it looks similar to Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves. But when you actually play the game, it seems to have a very different kind of play style, or maybe I should say a different focus. And I think that's why there's some friction between some of the players of those other games who want to try this game. It's because they're expecting a similar play style from those other games, but when you embrace this game for what it is, you can actually appreciate some of the things that it offers. In this game, you are the administrator of Endfield Industries, a huge corporation that's responsible for creating all types of interesting new technologies. And you use these technologies to basically help and aid the people of this planet, Talos 2. And you're creating all types of different things and creating different types of supply chains. You're essentially managing a business and its logistics. So instead of it being a combat-focused exploration game with a little bit of base building gameplay mechanics like the Serena Teapot in Genshin Impact, this game is all about base building with some combat and exploration on the back end. And the combat and exploration is almost like a feedback loop that returns you back to building that base. And this enriches the world because as you explore the world, you feel like you're gaining something out of it that's going to progress your account as you continue to go forward. The things that you find help you build your base better, helps you to make better supply chains, helps you to find more places to build more bases. And I find it really satisfying. It's not like you're just taking from the world and that you're, finding chests and finding hidden prizes, but you're also adding to the world. And the way you add to the world also has a payoff of allowing you to be able to traverse more freely and easily. It's a really interesting game that I feel like gets lost in the shuffle when you compare it to other games. Sidebar, but I really like seeing my teammates run around and do stuff on the field. It's reminiscent of those old school RPG games where all the characters just follow you around everywhere in a straight line. But anyway, the combat is similar to ZZZ in a lot of ways, where you're constantly switching between characters for quick time events, but it does have its own personality. As you switch in and out characters, it's kind of like Wuthering Waves in that each character has their intro skills and a certain playstyle that revolves around characters coming on screen, but they kind of do it with their own twist. When it comes to the creative design of this game, the aesthetics, the visuals, the sound design, I find the visuals to be very polished, man. It looks so clean, like it looks so detailed. At the same time, it plays so smoothly. My PC barely generates any heat while playing this game. I haven't experienced any type of stuttering. I haven't experienced any type of slowdowns. The game just plays so buttery smooth with these very detailed and polished models and gameplay sets. And the sound design is really good. And sound, I feel like it's something that people often overlook, but it can mean the difference between an attack feeling just average and super powerful and strong. The sound of all the little gadgets you create and the slight vibration in the screen when you do certain actions. Speaking of vibration, this game takes haptic feedback to another level. Now, I generally play with controller and switch between keyboard and mouse whenever it's convenient in the game, but when you play with controller in this game, they do things that I didn't even know it was possible. I didn't know it was possible for a PS5 controller to increase the resistance on the shoulder buttons. And every time you take a zip line, you feel that resistance. And every time you pull on a banner to get a new character, when you hold down the shoulder button, it vibrates and you can kind of play with whether you want to pull down the lever or not. All those little small details, I feel like it adds a lot to the feeling of the game. And because this game kind of has a lot that you can do in it in terms of your base, there's naturally going to be a lot of progression. And that is great for RPG games. People who love RPG games generally like progression. They like leveling up your skills, leveling up your characters, leveling up your production workflow. That's something I never even thought I'd say about a game. You know, getting new equipment for your base, making your base larger. All of this is really, really interesting. And then as you navigate through field, through exploration, you find things that can increase the types of equipment you can use for your base. Now, even though this game has a lot of things going for it, it's not perfect, and no game is. And so I think now is a great time to shift to talking about some of the things that I was not the most satisfied with when it comes to this game. And one of those things is a simple fix. I just don't understand why you have to exit out all of the menus and completely go back to the main game screen whenever you want to switch from keyboard and mouse to controller or vice versa. Whenever you want to do so, you have to exit out of whatever you're doing just to be able to do that. And I normally switch between controller and mouse and keyboard with no problem with any of the other games that I play. But for this game, I don't really know why that's an issue, but it is. Another thing that I've noticed with this game is the dialogue. So I find that the dialogue in this game is oftentimes a bit too much. And I mean that both in the quantity of dialogue as well as the amount of new terms given during the dialogue. What I mean by that is at the start of the game, we're given so many new terms. It's crazy. I don't think the average person will be able to keep up with what's going on and actually be able to understand what they are talking about. I mean, we're getting terms like Zeroth Directive, UWST, Anglioi, Landbreakers, PAC, AIC, and the list goes on. It's a ridiculous number of terms. And we also get a number of professional words as well that kind of lend itself to the role of a person who is running a business or in the military. And sometimes these terms are so specific that, I mean, if you can imagine watching Jurassic Park, where all the characters actually talk like paleontologists and they use the terms of actual devices and items they use in real life. I mean, the average person would eventually get lost in whatever they're saying, and the impact would overall be diminished by the fact that everyone's tuned out because of all these terms. And the quantity of dialogue is insane. Sometimes you find yourself coming out of a rather lengthy dialogue only to be able to do some small action like walk forward before you put into another long dialogue. Maybe you take 15 to 20 seconds to fight a group of monsters, and then you enter into another long dialogue sequence. I mean, it just continues to go on. And I know they're capable of balancing the dialogue and the quests. For example, the Abori Quarry quest allows you to be able to explore, to find new things, talk to other NPCs, to learn more about the story and the area, as well as have cutscenes for the quest that don't overstep and don't take up too much of your overall gameplay experience. A lot of times in this particular genre of game, I feel like the developers and writers are too accustomed to wanting to get the story out at the cost of the gameplay. And while we're on the subject of the story, I think the framework of the story, while it isn't very unique, it is interesting. But the way they go about conveying this to you overall makes it not very entertaining. There's some entertaining moments, but the story overall, while it could be entertaining, the way they show it to you and present it to you is not very interesting at all. And again, a lot of these scenes are very long, and some of these sections of dialogue are long enough for you to watch a full episode of a regular TV show or anime, which has better build-up, rising action, climax, and a complete ending in the same time it took a couple characters to have one conversation. I do feel like they do get a little better at certain parts of the game, but that aspect is never truly gone. And there's one more thing I want to say. This game has some of the most currencies I've ever experienced dealing with in a single game. It's really insane. There's origiometry, Ouroboros, T credits, Valley stock bills, regular credits, basic headhunting permits, New Horizon chartered headhunting permits, firewalking headhunting permits, arsenal tickets, bond quotas, AIC quotas, endpoint quotas, and I'm sure that I'm missing some currencies, but there are tons of them, and it can make things a bit confusing. Over time, it does become a bit more natural and normal to you, but yeah, initially, that does make the game quite a bit confusing at first. By the way, if you guys are interested in me talking more about this game or making a video talking about these currencies in detail and explaining them, I don't know, leave a comment, let me know. But anyways, for the most part, despite these flaws, I enjoy the game quite a bit. I enjoy micromanaging my facility, trying to cap out on a particular resource or using up this particular resource that's not as relevant as it used to be. All of that is very entertaining. I really do hope that we continue to get more facilities, more items, and just more things to build, because that really is, I feel, one of the key differences this game has compared to some of its contemporaries. But anyways, folks, those are my thoughts. What do you think of this game? Do you like it? Are you going to try it? Have you tried it? Let me know in the comments down below. That is all I have for you today, and until next time, I'll catch you in the waves. Peace.